joining us for today's conversation with the superintendent video series in our final few days before break. Today, we are going to focus on our instructional model and return plan that's tentatively proposed for this January. We're recording today's session in both English and Spanish, and it will be available on our website at district65.net. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Dr. Devon Horton.
Yes, hello, D65 family. This has been one of the most challenging years for all of us. I know you continue to hear it, but I must reiterate. I just want to make sure that you all are receiving the information that we've promised to deliver before we head out for winter break. Please be safe, get some rest, and come back refreshed and ready to really push it to the next level for us and put 2020 behind us. But today we're here to really talk about our learning plans. There's going to be quite a few changes and shifts in how we function when we return to in-person learning. But we wanted to actually highlight and share all of the shifts that we're making. And today we have some key individuals here to talk with us, and I would like to introduce our team. Dr. Beardsley.
Sure. Dr. Stacy Beardsley, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction.
Terrence Little, Assistant Superintendent over middle schools.
Dr. Sharon Sprague, Director of Early Childhood Programs for the district at JEH Early Childhood Center.
Thank you.
Melissa Messenger, Director of Communications.
All right. Sorry, Melissa. Thank you for setting this up. I don't get a chance to thank you and Tyler and Manuel for the great work that you do with this. And definitely we want the community to know who you are. So without further ado, we want to start with our remote learning in-person returning plan. All right. So I'm going to go through each piece, and I will elaborate. We will elaborate if we need to throughout the presentation. But this is definitely for us to make this a common knowledge for our community. The return to school instructional model. The return is ultimately determined and defined by the district health and safety metrics. Student and faculty safety needs are centered and prioritized. Our return model prioritizes students who benefit the most from the greater support, which, by the way, I can say we found a model that can support all of our students in certain grade bands at a much greater rate, considering the conditions that we're currently operating in. We want to build a clear communication plan to support the community and understand the district actions and decisions. There's been a lot of voices involved in this. Students continue to receive 5 hours of learning daily and a minimum of 3 hours of synchronous learning Tuesday through Friday. Consider the financial impact of all models and be strong stewards of the district funds in such trying times. Design honors. Our design will honor the COVID-19 building capacities related to social distancing. Next slide. We want to also be sure, when we talk about some additional parameters, we are committing to creating the highest quality live learning, including centering the importance of having math and literacy taught in person where possible. Increase the likelihood of maintaining consistent educator-student relationships and maintain consistency where possible in the district. And that has been part of our intentional design, that we keep these relationships as strong as possible between our students and our magnificent staff. We want to maximize the opportunity to have educators teaching in the areas of strength. Similar school types and programs must have the same hybrid model. What does that mean? What that means is in our K-5 schools, we want to be sure that if we're doing an AM, PM design potentially, we want to make sure that that's happening in all K-5 schools. And that carries through the different models of schooling that we have, K through 5, K-8 magnet, and also our middle schools. They all will have similar designs according to the grade bands that they serve. So I want to make sure that I highlight this part because there's been a lot of discussion around it in the metrics for reopening and potential re-exiting. Hopefully we don't have to re-exit, and hopefully we can open. State-directed mitigation. We want to sustain increase in 7-day rolling average, 7 out of 10 days, and the positivity rate. And one of the following: sustained 7-day increase in hospital admissions for COVID-19, like illness, a reduction in hospital capacity, threatening surge capabilities. So ICU capacity or medical surgical beds under 20%. And then the state-directed mitigation, 3 consecutive days averaging greater than or equal to 8% positivity rate, 7-day rolling. District level mitigation, there are other data pieces that we must consider. Any of the following: positivity rate exceeding 3% in attendance area zip codes. For clarity, that's in the Evanston community where our students are currently, where we live and where they come from. Advisement by the Evanston Health and Human Services and or Skokie Health Department to suspend in-person learning for any public health related reason. Inability to sustain staffing directly associated with classrooms. We know many of our families and our staff, I should say, live in other parts of the county, and some actually live in other a little bit north of us, and we want to be sure that we are honoring how are they able to commit to being able to come to in-person learning. If we run out of PPE gear or cleaning materials, and it becomes a shortage, and there's no way that we can service our buildings safely, that is another way. And our inability to sustain evolving health protocols and guidance. These are just other metrics that we will use if we have to re-exit, or if we're not able to open any of these other factors. We're not anticipating, but we want to be clear and transparent that this is a possibility if any of those were to happen.
Dr. Horton, can I jump in real quick here?
Yes.
So I just wanted to clarify as well for our community that those state-directed mitigation measures that are listed at the top half of the screen, those are in relation to Region 10. So we're looking at suburban Cook County on those state-directed metrics, and those are directly from the Illinois Department of Public Health, and were established by medical professionals across the state as to when a region or area may need additional restrictions because of sustained community spread. So I just wanted to clarify that difference between the state-directed mitigation measures and the district level and the positivity rates you mentioned locally in Evanston and Skokie.
Yes, thank you, Melissa. That was great. Thank you for sharing that. Here is a glossary. We want to share with you some key terms. So as we talk, we know as educators, sometimes we use acronyms and words and we don't necessarily share what those mean. So we want to be clear about that. So concurrent live teaching. Hybrid learning is where some students attend class in person, while others join the class virtually from home. Educators teach remote and in-person students at the same time. Using tools like video conferencing, the educator may be on the school site or remote with supervision provided on site. Remote, educators and students are in different places. Hybrid plus, intervention and supervision of high priority and bus students provided by childcare. Paraprofessionals and interventionists when students are not in live instruction with their teacher. Tutoring opportunities through books and breakfast, NU and fluency tutors. Synchronous, new terms that we've all used so much this year. During synchronous learning, the teacher and students are working on the learning in real time at the same time with a set of class schedule and set login times. Asynchronous, asynchronous learning does not require real-time interaction. Instead, learning is available online for students to access when it best suits their schedules and assignments are completed to deadlines. So I would now like to transition over to Dr. Sprague. She's going to talk about our learning models. Take it from here, please.
Okay. I just am so excited to be able to welcome back many of our students to JEH Early Childhood Center. And I want to talk to the community about the 4 learning pathway models that we will have once we bring in some students in an in-person model. So we have 3 main programs at the school already. Our Head Start programming, which is full day, our Preschool for All programming, which is half day, and our special education programs, which were also half day. In this new model, We will offer full day in-person Head Start programming Tuesday through Friday, so 4 days a week in person, and the Mondays will continue to be continue to have a live morning meeting and then asynchronous learning throughout the day. The minimum daily learning time for this program will be 300 minutes per day. Students with 3 or more priority flags meeting the Head Start requirements will get the in-person learning preference. And we also will offer full day remote Head Start programming that will continue for some students as it has been operating since the beginning of the school year. Remote learning on Monday mornings, we'll have just one meeting in the morning, and then the rest of the day will be asynchronous. And then Tuesday through Friday, learning will be conducted between 8:35 and 2:30 p.m. And again, students will have minimum daily minutes of contact learning time of 300 minutes per day. There will be PE provided for both programs, and the teacher will provide concurrent teaching of live and video streaming. Students who meet Head Start requirements, whose families have indicated a remote learning preference, will be in this model. We also will offer half-day in-person preschool for all and special education programs. This again will have remote learning on Mondays with a live meeting in the morning and asynchronous throughout the day. The rest of the program will operate Tuesday through Friday. If you're in the AM section, your child will have schooling between 8:35 a.m. and 11:05, or the PM program is going to operate from 12:30 p.m. until 3 p.m. Students will, in the half-day program, will receive 150 minutes of instruction per day. Again, there will be PE provided, and students with 3 or more priority flags meeting preschool for all education requirements and whose families have chosen in-person learning preference will be prioritized for this program. And then finally, we will offer half-day remote programming for preschool for all and special education programs. This will continue as it has been operating since the beginning of the year. We will have remote learning on Mondays, again with their live morning meeting. And then Tuesday through Friday, there will be programming operating between 8:35 a.m. and 10:35 a.m. And in the afternoon, 12:30 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. This again will be 150 minutes of learning per day. PE will be provided with live stream, and students meeting preschool for all requirements and whose families have indicated remote learning preference will be included in this programming.
Thank you, Sharon. I'm going to take a couple minutes and explain our learning models in our kindergarten through 5th grade. In kindergarten through 5th grade, we will continue our asynchronous Mondays with our morning meeting at 9 a.m. and then asynchronous learning for the remainder of the day. For our students, for the remainder of the week, we are then running an AM/PM learning model. Students who are returning to school will attend either in person in the morning or the afternoon. The time will be spent interacting with their primary classroom teacher live with a focus on math, literacy, and social emotional learning. For students who attend in the morning, they'll start at 9 and finish at 11:20, and students in the afternoon will attend from 1:10 to 3:30. Students will have learning delivered remotely during the other half of the school day and are expected to engage in both portions of our learning day. In addition to the AM/PM on-site learning models and learning block, we're offering a Hybrid Plus program, which allows for our students who benefit from greater support to stay the full day in our school sites. The second half of their day includes supervision for remote learning with additional supports built in based on individual needs. Those supports could be provided by our related service providers, depending on the student's individual needs. Additionally, we are looking to partner with our community partners for the provision of tutoring or additional support as well. We are offering these spots to students and families based on the priority criteria shared by the state of Illinois for students who meet multiple priority indicators. For students who are staying remote, who will not be returning to on-site learning at this time. Those students will also move into an AM/PM block schedule where they have live, synchronous, and remote interaction with their primary classroom teacher. So to be clear, those students could be scheduled for live, synchronous learning with their teacher for math, literacy, and social emotional learning in either the morning or the afternoon. They will follow the same schedule as our students who are returning on site, yet we are creating separate classrooms so that the students who are remote will be with other students who are remote. Our kindergarten through 5th grade students will not be engaging in concurrent teaching. Our remote students will be with remote students, and our on-site students will be with on-site students. The next slide will allow us to take a look kind of more closely at what that day looks like for students. All right, so just kind of quick lens of the K-5 student experience. You know, this tries to kind of clarify some of the information that was just shared with you. As you can see, Mondays continue with our 9 a.m. morning meeting with the remote asynchronous learning. If a student in this situation, this is our sample student A, is scheduled to return for in-school learning Tuesday through Friday in the morning. So they would begin learning on site at 9 o'clock. They would dismiss at 11:20. There then is an open block in the middle of the day for some lunch and open time. And then they have the remainder of their learning in the afternoon. The remote learning that's being provided in that remote learning block in the afternoon is live, synchronous, PE, and fine arts. So students will have a dedicated start or end time for that class. And then the students will have access to additional learning in math, reading, and writing. That will include some instruction, some recorded instruction, as well as practice in those particular areas. And students will be expected to engage in both sides of that learning. So then if we take a quick look at the other side, if a student is scheduled for the PM block, then they will engage in that remote but live fine arts and PE instruction in the morning, as well as the math and literacy practice and potentially recorded instruction. They will have an open block in the middle of the day, and then they will return to their on-site learning in the afternoon. And so that gives you a quick sense of the student experience, both if they're scheduled in the AM or in the PM. All right, just in kind of a couple summary points so that people are clear about how this learning design works for our students in kindergarten through 5th grade. Fine arts and physical education, synchronous, meaning that the student and the teacher are doing it at the same time, will be delivered remote but live. Math and literacy learning, there will be, as I said, some asynchronous in that remote block that allows for practice, and as well as some instruction, recorded instruction. And then we are also providing science and social studies in that remote block, and those lessons will be recorded in asynchronous. And the key on this is, if it's synchronous, we want the student to be there at a specific time. If it's asynchronous, that can be done essentially at the time that works best for the students and the family. All of the learning, both the on-site and the remote, the AM and the PM, come together to create 5 hours of total learning at a minimum, of which 3 hours of that is live engagement. Whether you are on-site or remote, you are engaging with an educator live for at least 3 hours, and there's an additional 2 hours of asynchronous learning in our K-5 model. All right, Terrence?
All right, everybody. Now we're going to talk about middle school. Yay. All right, as we talk a little bit about it, I want you to try to think about it. Middle school is a little different, whereas middle schools, we're talking about Chute, Haven, and Nichols. We have full day in person. Dr. Beardsley did a lot of talking about half day, but in middle school, we're going to do a full day. We're going to have remote learning on Mondays with live morning meetings. Tuesday through Friday, we're going to have a schedule from 8:30 to 3:35 p.m. It's roughly 330 minutes. It is concurrent teaching. So what'll happen is we'll have each students will be in pods pretty much in a group. There will be roughly anywhere from 0 to 13 students inside the classroom, whereas the other half of the class will be at home. and the teacher will be teaching either remote or on site. If she's remote, we will have someone in the classroom with the students. If she's on site, she'll be inside of the classroom with the students, and the lesson will be taught where the students at school can see it live, and the students at home will see it via their instructional device. The students that will be coming to school are students with one or more priority flags. All right, for remote learning on Mondays with live morning meetings, it will look the same. Tuesday through Fridays is 8:30 to 3:35. Once again, it's 330 minutes. It is concurrent teaching, and students whose family indicated remote learning or those with no priority flags. All right, next slide. Here's an example of our schedule. It's not exactly this, but this is an example of our schedule. Middle school classes will consist of some students learning on site and some learning from home. We refer to this as concurrent live teaching. Full day from 8:30 to 3:35. Once again, Mondays, Monday AM meeting teacher directed time and professional learning. Tuesdays, periods 1 through 4, roughly 3 lunch periods, and then periods 8 through 10. And that is over and over again, Tuesday through Friday. Students will be organized into cohorts to limit the volume of students' contact, and educators will rotate to the classrooms. So in other words, once again, we'll have our anywhere from 0 to 13 students inside of the classroom, and we will have the teachers rotating from classroom to classroom instead of having the students move to try to eliminate the student contact. All right, so now we're going to kind of break it down a little bit more and start talking about our magnet schools. The first one we're going to talk about is Bessie Rhodes. Now remember, our magnet schools are K through 8, so it's a mixture of both models. Dr. Beardsley talked about the K through 5 model, and I'm just going to reiterate it. It's a half day in person assigned to AM or PM sessions. Remainder of instructional day includes remote, synchronous, and asynchronous learning, including math and literacy practice, PE, fine arts, science, and social studies. The schedule: remote learning on Mondays with live morning meetings. K through 5 grades. They'll be attending Tuesday through Friday from 8:10 to from 8 o'clock to 10:20 a.m. or from noon to 2:45 p.m. Grades 6 through 8 will come to school Tuesday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 2:45 p.m. or they'll be at home during that same time. Once again, middle school is concurrent learning, so either they'll be in the classroom live or they'll be at home. The minimum day learning time is 300 minutes for K through 5, and it's 330 minutes for 6 through 8. Concurrent teaching is for grades 6 through 8 only. Proposed student return for K through 5 is students whose family indicated an in-person learning preference. And for 6 through 8, once again, is students with one or more priority flags. All right. Now we're talking about King Arts, which is very, very similar to Bessie Rhodes. K through 5 grade, half day in person, assigned to AM or PM session. Remainder of instructional day includes remote synchronous and asynchronous learning, including math and literacy practice, PE, fine arts, science, and social studies. 6th grade, full day in person. The schedule: remote learning on Mondays with live morning meetings. K through 5 grade, Tuesday through Friday from 8 o'clock to 10:40 or from noon to 2:45. 6th through 8th grade is Tuesday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 2:45. Once again, our minutes for our K through 5 is 300 minutes. Our minutes for our middle school is 6 through 8. Grade 6 through 8 is concurrent teaching. And once again, the proposed students is K through 5 students whose family indicated in-person learning preference. And for our 6th through 8th grade students is our students with one or more priority flags. All right, now our remote students,
Oh, I apologize.
no problem. Our remote students follow the same schedule as the students who are on site. Remember, remote learning on Mondays with live morning meetings. Tuesday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2:45. Once again, 300 minutes K through 5, 330 minutes for 6 through 8. Yes, grades 6 through 8 only is concurrent teaching, and students whose family indicated remote learning preference. Those are the ones who will be at home. Next slide.
All right.
Next slide. All right, Rice. Once again, Rice is one of our specialty schools. Rice Education Center is full day in person. Remote learning on Mondays with live morning meetings. Their students will be going to school either Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday and Friday. So it'll be a 2-day week for those students. It'll be a full day though, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The minimum dating and learning time, they'll be receiving 315 minutes. There isn't concurrent teaching going on. And the proposed student return are students whose family indicated an in-person learning preference. Remote students. Remote learning is on Mondays with live morning meetings. They're Tuesday through Friday also from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., 315 minutes, no concurrent teaching, and these are students whose family indicated remote learning preferences. All right. Slide. Right now we have Park School. Park School is full day in person one of our learning pathways is full day in person. Remote learning on Mondays with live morning meetings. Tuesday through Fridays, these students will also have a 2-day schedule where they'll be attending school Tuesday and Wednesday, or they will be attending Thursday and Friday. But we do plan to adjust these students as they get more comfortable and familiar. We plan on all the students being in school for 4 days a week that have chosen to, who family has chosen to be in person. So it's 375 minutes. Our remote students, remote learning on Mondays with live morning meetings, Tuesday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 3:15. Once again, the minimum learning time is 375 minutes. There isn't concurrent teaching, and this is for students who family indicated remote learning preference. They'd rather be at home. Okay. Next one.
Muted.
Now that you've listened to a fair enough our learning models by our individual sites, we just have a few comments to kind of in closing to help you begin to think about how to prepare your students for the return to on-site learning. One, students will absolutely be wearing masks in school at all times, so please do prepare them to wear those masks and know that when they go to school, they will need extra masks in their book bags to ensure that we're taking care of that safety precaution fully every day. Additionally, students will bring their materials to and from school daily, including their fully charged technology device. And this is particularly important in our middle schools where students are there all day. That device does need to be fully charged each day to ensure that students will have full access to learning. We will be using both technology-based devices and technology-based learning and non-technology-based learning on site to support our students. Our students are expected to engage in the K-5 models or the AM-PM model to engage fully both in the on-site and remote learning activities because they will support each other and support our students' learning and growth. Families must complete the health self-certification process daily for the students that are returning to on-site learning, and that will need to be done prior to the student reporting to school. And there'll be more information on that process and how to do that process as we get closer to the return date. Students will maintain social distancing while at school. We will absolutely engage in regular hand sanitizing and hand washing routines. And educators will share protocols with students about bathroom use and movement throughout the building as they return to school. Additionally, you will hear more information from the district and your child's school as we move closer to the return to on-site learning to ensure that safety measures are in place and our in-person procedures are going to maintain safety, as Dr. Horton centered up front in our conversation today.
Thanks, Stacy. I just wanted to share there's been a lot of information shared, both as part of today's video and also as part of, daily emails that seem to be coming out from the district and from our schools and from our principals. So there's a ton of information. Our website really is a wealth of information in terms of finding out more information about what we're doing this current school year, our return plans, safety guidelines, resources for families and staff. So I encourage you to visit our website at district65.net. There are 2 screenshots here. You can access most of this information either by clicking on the 2020-2021 school year resource hub, the quick links directly on the homepage, or also you can go under family resources and click on COVID-19 resources, as well as under staff resources. You can click on COVID-19 resources there as well. So it is accessible both under family and staff resources. Thank you.
And so, of course, as we close up today, we will continue to communicate in writing and videos as best we can to make sure that we're clear around our process. I would like to thank all of our school leaders, our Let's Get It Right teams, our parents. We just met with some medical experts that were also parents in the community this week. We want to thank everyone thank them as well, our board, and anyone who supported us in this process. It has not been easy. Emotions are high, and just know that we got to continue to let this crisis bring out the best in us and not the worst as we communicate and reach and know that no one has bad intentions. We are all looking to make the best situation for our return to school. And please stay tuned as we continue to chop away, and hopefully in 2021, we will be looking at a much brighter time and brighter days. So thank you.